What happens when love is given and then taken away? And how many times can a heart break before it learns how to truly love? Hi, I'm Peter, and welcome back to Books for Thoughts, where we slow down with stories that seem simple but reveal the truths we spend our whole lives searching for. This week, we're stepping into the wisdom of childhood stories, tales that whisper quietly but stay with us forever. And today, it's the story of a rabbit named Edward Tulane. A rabbit who had to lose everything in order to learn what it means to love. Edward Tulane is not your typical toy. He is finely crafted, made of porcelain, dressed in elegant clothes, admired, adored. He belongs to a little girl named Abilene who treats him with great care. But here's the truth about Edward. He doesn't love her back. He doesn't love anyone. He is proud, self-centered, concerned only with his appearance and comfort. To Edward, life is about being admired, not about connection. And yet the story begins to unfold in a way that will challenge everything he believes. One day, while on a family trip, Edward falls overboard from a ship. Lost to the sea, lost to Abilene, sinking into the depths with no way home. This is the first great shattering. Edward, who thought himself untouchable, finds himself utterly powerless. And it won't be the last time. For the rest of his journey, Edward will be found, loved, and then lost again. Over and over. Each time a piece of his pride will break away. Each time a part of his porcelain heart will begin to soften. Edward is passed from hand to hand, home to home, life to life. A fisherman pulls him from the sea, and for a while Edward feels cared for. But the cycle repeats. He is cherished, then torn away. A hobo and his dog carry him across the country, teaching him about freedom. Later, a sick little girl holds him close, teaching him about tenderness and the fragility of time. Every time Edward begins to care, the story takes that bond away. And every time Edward suffers, at first he resents it. Why love if it always ends in pain? Why open your heart if it will only break again? But slowly, painfully, Edward begins to see the hurt is not a punishment. It is proof that love has happened, and that love once given changes you forever. Edward's journey is not gentle. It is brutal at times, because he must learn the lesson that so many of us spend our lives avoiding, that love is not about safety. To love is to be breakable. To love is to risk loss, to accept that one day someone you love will walk away or be taken away. But the absence doesn't erase the love. It carves it deeper into who you are. Edward's porcelain body begins to crack, but in those cracks, a heart begins to form, a heart that can finally feel. There comes a point when Edward can no longer pretend. After so much loss, after so many endings, he finally admits the truth to himself. He misses them, every single person who once held him, every pair of arms that carried him for a little while. The fisherman and his wife, the hobo and his dog, the little girl who was sick, Abilene, his very first. Their love lingers. It hurts, yes, but it also expands him. Edward, once hollow porcelain, is now filled with memory, with longing, with something that looks a lot like love. But just when Edward thinks he has given all he can, life takes him to his lowest point. He is broken, shattered, literally. Edward is discarded, forgotten in a doll repair shop. His body cracked, his heart weary. He sits on a shelf for what feels like forever, watching the world move on without him. It's in this stillness, this waiting, that Edward faces the question at the center of his story. Is love worth it? Is it worth opening your heart, knowing it will almost certainly break again? For a long time, Edward cannot answer. He is tired of breaking, tired of losing, tired of hope. And then something miraculous happens. A little girl enters the shop. She picks Edward up, looks at him with wonder, and says simply, "I want this one." It is in that moment Edward realizes the truth. Love is always worth it, not because it guarantees forever, not because it protects you from pain, but because even in its impermanence, it makes you real. Every hand that held him, every voice that spoke his name, every heart that carried him for a season, they didn't just break him. They built him. The journey of Edward Tulane isn't really about a porcelain rabbit, it's about us, our fear of loss, our resistance to vulnerability, our desperate wish to love without risk. But there is no love without risk, and there is no life without love. Edward teaches us that a broken heart is not the end. It's the proof you were alive enough to care, that every time you choose to love, even knowing it may end, you become more real. And isn't that what we're all secretly longing for? Not to stay shiny and untouched, but to live in such a way that even if we are cracked, we are full of love. If this story stirred something in you, I encourage you to pick up The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane and let it remind you that even heartbreak is holy. And if you enjoy these quiet, soulful reflections, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Books for Thoughts, where we share 10-minute breakdowns that help you feel deeply and remember what really matters. Until next time, stay open, stay tender, and never stop risking love.